Caroline's murder in May shocked Greece. Her husband describing a violent gang who he said had tied up the parents, threatened their baby child and then killed his wife.
Imagine waking up to find a husband mourning his wife, only to later learn he was the one who took her life. This is the story of Caroline Crouch, a young mother whose murder shocked Greece and the world, not just because of the brutality of the crime, but because of the elaborate lies that followed. The night that changed everything. It was the early hours of May 11th, 2021, inside a quiet suburban home in Glyka Nera, Athens. Caroline, just 20 years old, lived there with her husband, Babis Anagnostopoulos, a 33-year-old helicopter pilot, and their 11-month-old baby girl. Around 6 a.m., Babis made a frantic call to police, claiming their home had been invaded by armed robbers.
Να μην γίνει σε κανέναν άλλον ποτέ ξανά, τίποτα άλλο. Τα παιδιά ξέρουν τη δουλειά τους, θα τους πιάσουν και αυτό που πέρασα εγώ και η οικογένειά μου και η οικογένεια της γυναίκας μου να μην το περάσει ξανά κανείς ποτέ. Τους παρακαλέσαμε, τους είπαμε ότι πού θα βρουν τα χρήματα.
When officers arrived, they were met with a chilling scene. Caroline was found dead upstairs, suffocated in the attic bedroom. Babis was tied up near the living room, seemingly injured and traumatized. And outside the house, the family's dog had been found hanged.
Μας έδεσαν και από εκείνο το σημείο και μετά δεν τους είχαμε πει ήδη που είναι τα χρήματα.
The story instantly became national news. A horrifying home invasion, a mother killed while protecting her baby, and a grieving husband who appeared shattered by the loss.
This is Babis Anagnostopoulos, comforting his mother-in-law this week. Her daughter, his wife, murdered just a few weeks before.
But as investigators dug deeper, something about Babis' story didn't add up, and soon the entire robbery narrative would begin to crumble. The robbery story starts falling apart. Police initially treated the case as a violent burglary, but inconsistencies started to appear almost immediately. There was no sign of forced entry on any door or window, raising questions about how the supposed intruders even entered the home. The ropes used to tie Babis were suspiciously loose, as if tied by someone inexperienced or someone tying themselves. Then came the biggest breakthrough: Caroline's smartwatch data. Investigators discovered her heart rate spiked and then stopped hours before Babis claimed the robbers entered the home.
It's claimed that data from wearable fitness trackers showed that Caroline died hours earlier than her husband said.
This completely shattered his timeline. Security camera footage also showed key files deleted manually at a time when Babis claimed he was unconscious.
Then, a few days later, footage was released. Footage of a suspicious car and motorbike driving away from the scene. This was around the time Babis said they would have fled the home after killing Caroline and the dog. And a neighbour said that that bike had been in the area days before, circling the block, scoping out the place, covert-like.
Slowly, investigators realized that the entire home invasion story was a lie, and the man who portrayed himself as a grieving husband was actually the prime suspect. The turning point, his lies, collapse. On June 17th, 2021, a month after the murder, Babis was attending Caroline's memorial service on the island of Alonissos.
It was over a month after the murder, while Babis and Caroline's family were at a memorial for young Caroline.
In a moment that stunned the small community, police quietly approached him during the ceremony and asked him to return to Athens to clarify new information.
He asked what's going on, and his reaction is kind of strange and awkward. He told them that the memorial isn't over and asked the officers to let him attend the memorial until the end. They refused to let him and told him for his own good to hide his cell phone and not call anyone, and that they have to leave immediately.
What followed was an 8-hour interrogation where officers presented every inconsistency.
But police now say that the story about a gang was all a lie.
The smartwatch data, the deleted camera footage, the false timeline.
Her memorial service was held on Thursday. And that is when Anagnostopoulos was detained by police and told that they had fresh evidence against him.
Cornered by evidence, Babis finally confessed. He admitted there were no robbers, no intruders, no violent burglary. Instead, he revealed that during a heated argument in the early morning hours, he suffocated Caroline with his own hands. Their baby was in the room as it happened, and in the hours afterward, he staged an entire crime scene, killed the family dog to make the robbery look real, tied himself up, scattered items to suggest a struggle, and called police pretending to be helpless and devastated.
The examination of some evidence, and especially the digital evidence that we'd confiscated from the site, gave us some clues, especially the evidence that showed movement of objects, in particular the husband's phone, during the same time he had testified that he was tied up.
For 37 days, he lied to the country, to reporters, to investigators, and even hugged Caroline's grieving mother, while knowing he was the one who killed her daughter. Caroline's diary reveals her silent pain. After his confession, investigators discovered Caroline's personal diary, a heartbreaking collection of handwritten entries that exposed the emotional torment she had been suffering. She wrote about wanting to leave the marriage, feeling trapped, and fearing Babis's controlling behavior.
31st of December 2019. I argued with Babis again, this time a lot. I hit him. I cursed him and he broke the door. The only thing I wanted was for him to ask if I was well when I woke up. I'm thinking about leaving, going to my sister. I don't know if I can continue with Babis. I love him so much that I can't leave him, even if this relationship is harming me.
Her diary described arguments, manipulation, and attempts to escape the relationship. One of her last entries revealed she had seriously considered separating from him. To prosecutors, these entries proved the marriage was unraveling long before the murder, and they suggested a clear motive. Babis feared losing control over Caroline and possibly custody of their baby. The diary became one of the most powerful pieces of evidence against him. The trial and the verdict. Babis was charged with premeditated murder, animal cruelty for killing the dog, making false statements to police, and staging a fake robbery. His trial began in April 2022 and captivated Greece. Prosecutors argued that this was not a sudden burst of anger, but a calculated act. They said Babis had a history of controlling Caroline and that the murder happened when she attempted to leave with their child. In May 2022, the court agreed. Babis was found guilty of murder and sentenced to life in prison, along with additional years for killing the dog and lying to investigators. He was transferred to one of Greece's highest security prisons, where he remains today. Aftermath. A family left to heal. Caroline's baby daughter was placed in the custody of her maternal grandmother, who vowed to raise her far from the man who destroyed their lives. Caroline's mother stated that one day, when the time is right, the child will learn the truth about what happened to her mother. The case left Greece heartbroken, not only because of the loss of a bright young woman, but because the man responsible pretended to be a victim while deceiving an entire nation. The lies, the manipulation, and the cold staging of the crime scene made the tragedy even more haunting. Conclusion. In a peaceful Athens neighborhood, a family home became the setting for one of Greece's most disturbing crimes.
For weeks, Greece has been shocked by the spectre of a violent, murderous gang. If the police are right, then this horrendous crime instead comes down to the fury of just one man.
A young mother, only 20, was suffocated by her husband, the same man who spent weeks crying on television, begging for justice and misleading investigators. But with the help of technology, persistence, and the truth hidden in Caroline's diary, his lies collapsed. Today, Babis serves a life sentence while Caroline is remembered as a loving mother whose life was cut far too short. Her story is a reminder that sometimes the monster isn't an intruder, it's someone already inside the home. If you found this story gripping, please like this video, comment your thoughts on this case, and subscribe to Judge Wire for more real crime stories that uncover the truth behind the headlines.